This morning. I am so very happy to be in the house of the Lord. I just want you to know that every single person that is in this place, I appreciate you. I love you, and I look forward to seeing you every Sunday. It is time for the keys to life. When I say keys to life, you say, oh, that was bad. When I say keys to life, you say,
He's alive.
I need you to get it all the way up in your chest and say it. When I say keys to life, you say, thank you so much, so much, so much, so much. Number one, what do you do regularly for you? What do you do regularly for you? Now, in this moment, you might be thinking, what do I do good? Like, do I buy myself a treat, or do I take myself out to eat, or do I watch a particular movie? But what I want you to think about is, what do you do that's for you that actually changes your life? What do you do to build on your life? What do you do regularly, consistently, every day to take you to another level? Because if you stay on the level you're on, you're really regressing. So there has to be something that you have a passion for and something that God is pleased with that you do regularly. So when you think about it and you go home and you think, or you're on your way home and you're thinking about, what do I do regularly? What do I spend 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day, an hour a day? I actually put in some type of work, some type of enjoyment that will take me to the next level in my life, that I actually enjoy, that will take me to the next level of my life every single day. This is for me. And I don't really speak about it. You notice I don't really speak about for you. So I want you to think about this, because most I just tell you to manage yourself. But I want you to really actually focus on doing something that would benefit you, that you love to do, that God is a part of. Because a lot of times the things that we love to do, we don't actually invite God to. But if you're going to do it every day, find a way to invite God into your situation. And then do it consistently to bring you to a better end, so that if you are doing it consistently, it will take you to another level in some way, shape, and form in your life. Because if you're not, then the question is, then what are you doing? Are you just spending time? Are you just wasting time? And some people would say it's not wasted time, but if you can't actually recount what you did, why you did it, then you just spent it. You spent it. And there's the only thing you can't give. You can get money back. You can't get time back. You can get money. You can get money back. You lose it, you get it back. You spent it, you can get it back. Tomorrow will never show up again. The last 5 minutes, they're gone. So the only thing you can do is praise better next time. But you understand? Like, you can't do anything about what's gone. But you can order your steps. You can work your day. You can, and I'm not telling you that it has to be so structured, but 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to change your life later on is beneficial to you. Make sure you're giving it attention, because the thing that you want on the other side of that, the conversations you want on the other side of that, the greeting you want on the other side of that, the goal you want on the other side of that, the blessing you want on the other side of that, it doesn't come without some form of attention, some form of work every day, some form of preparation. And I know preparation is kind of sometimes scary for people, because most people, a lot of people, they don't really, preparation means somewhat of discipline, somewhat responsibility, somewhat obligation to actually, in dedication to something other than how you feel. But if you turn that on to your life, you would be really surprised as how far you can go, and how many arguments you would have less, and how many issues will you have less, and how far you would gain in God and relationship with God. Because God is a God of decency and order. So if God is a God of decency and order, if you don't work decency and order, how do you look like him? You have to have some form of consistency, some form of methodical movements to take you to a certain place And without that structure, you put yourself in the back seat and you'll wonder why everybody's moving ahead of you. All right, number 2, work new information. Work new information. Work new information. When I give you information, when you get information at school, when you get any kind of information, let's say you're working on a project and you learn something new, if you don't work it, you lose it, correct? And so if I learn a new word in a different language, I have to then use that word in a conversation. I have to use that word in a text. I have to use that word somewhere so that I don't lose the word. At church, you come here, you get a word, and if you don't use it, then you still lose it. And the question then is, if I don't work it, what was it worth getting? You get a relationship. You don't work the relationship, it wasn't worth what? Getting. Think about it. You don't put any time, any sacrifice, any love, any work into it, then it wasn't really worth. And likely someone took the time, they took the attention, they took the sacrifice, and you're trying to figure out why something is going wrong and why someone else has her or his attention. It's because you didn't put any work into it. Whatever it is that you do, if you get new, when you learn something new about a person, if you don't use that information, then what happens is it was wasted. Most people ask a million questions but never study. Asking a million questions will get you what the person feels like saying at that time. Studying a person will help you understand their mannerisms and what their objective is and what their plan of action is and how they do, what they do, when they do, where they do it. I said this before, when a woman wants to find out if you're cheating on her, they don't ask you really like, hey, are you cheating on me? No, they see what doesn't add up. They figure out what in your system. You used to come home at a certain time and answer the phone at a certain time. All of a sudden, the rhythm changed. And where the rhythm changed, they found the break. The question that I have for you is to figure out this one thing. Why are you not taking the information like that and putting it into something worthwhile? Like literally okay, so this person acts this way. Forget what they did or what they didn't do. If I'm going to learn this person, I need to learn their activities. If I'm going to learn the Word of God, I need to know how it works. What does God say about finances? What God say about... Now, if I learn it, then I have to what? Use it. And so what I need you to do is I need you to take this new information, make sure that the information is right, know if it works and how it works for you. Make sure it's right information, know it works for you, and how it works for you. Know that it takes time. Nothing that you do, that you learn that's new, doesn't take time. You don't like learn how to save money and then become a millionaire. It's not even it. You have to take time with it because you're going to make mistakes with it because it's new to you. Whatever is new to you, you make mistakes with. Whatever is old to you, either you made mistakes with it and you haven't gained ground, or you haven't taken the information that you learned new and processed it and figured out how to make it work for you. So then you practice it. Why do you practice it? Because if I need to know your love language, I learn your love language, I practice it. I don't know how you want to receive said love language, or what level is necessary. Become good at that specific thing. Everything that I want you to do, I need you to learn how to become good. You do it consistently, but you do it mediocre. Like you do it with like a low level, and you count that to be good. No. Be the best at what you do. I don't care what it is you do, but if you are learning how to do something, you practice it with a spirit of what? So it doesn't matter what it is, you want to be the top of said situation. In that particular situation of if it's finances, if it's a relationship, if it's whatever it is, I don't care what it is. If you at your job and you say, look, I'm thinking about quitting, you want that person to say, what do you need? Because I don't want you to what? Go. You in a relationship and you thinking about I'm leaving, they're like, yo, no, I don't think I'll ever find someone as amazing as you. So what do we need to do to make this continue to run? I need you to put yourself in a position that says, I know this information and I'm going to max out on this information. What is the purpose of coming to church? What is the purpose of going to work? What is the purpose of having a relationship? What is the purpose of knowing about money if you're not going to be amazing at what you have, at what you're doing in that situation? Why would you, you're like a mediocre friend. Why are you a friend? They can't call on you. They don't know you. They don't even remember anything. They're like, when's their birthday? Mm-hmm. What's their favorite color? Mm-hmm. What do they like to eat more than anything? If they can't eat that, what will they eat? Mm-hmm. It's like, you don't. If I asked you about finances, where could I find finances in the Bible? You'd be like, mm-hmm. He said give and it can come back to me. That's about it. Run over? No? Yes? What do you know? And what do you put time into? I know you're like, oh, that takes a lot of time. Well, then if you're doing it, it had to have some type of worth. And this is the last thing I want to say to you about this specific thing. If you're doing it, it has to have some form of worth. Otherwise, stop doing it. Like, think about quitting it. Think about leaving. If it has no worth, then let it go. But if it has worth, do it to the best of your ability. Don't halfway do it. And that's the nicest way I can say it. All right, number 3. Be careful with excuses. Now, I'm going to come at this a different way because you know I am not a fan of them. I have never been a fan of excuses except for around 21 years ago. I would make a whole bunch of excuses. As soon as I had my first kid, I was just like, that's not my fault. I didn't know. I got a kid. I had excuses. And then when I realized no one wanted to hear my excuses and that my excuses would not take me to the level which I needed to, it would not help me be a good father. It would not help me be a good protector. It would not help me be a good friend. It would not help me be a good anything. And I was just going lower and lower and lower. I let them go. And then as I got older, I realized that there is a compartments to it. And I can't go deep in it, but there's 3 type of ways you can look at excuses. Managing them means taking a step back from everyone else and looking at yourself. Excuses provide usually 3 things. 1, mercy. And most people that are prideful, they're like, I don't need mercy. Well, you do, because sometimes if you call in and you be like, hey, my account overdrawn this amount of money, y'all charge me $35. With that person on the other line is saying, all right, we can get rid of one of those. Mercy. That's what it is. You spent it. Don't look at it. Like what happened, you did not have enough money in the account. Mercy said, boom, all right, I got you. No problem. We're going to get rid of that $35. Easy. The second one is usually set up with privilege. So, for example, sometimes Sister Cleo walk around at her job with sneakers on because her feet be all messed up. And so that gave her what? Privilege. Everybody else probably looking at her like, ain't nothing wrong with her. She walking like everybody else walking, but they don't know whatever issues she may have. So she has a what? Privilege that everybody else may not what? Have. So its excuse gives what? Privilege. Here's the third thing, and this is the thing that most people don't want to talk about, is power. It gives power. And power can be what? Overused, underused, and most times it's what? Overused. So when you say because of how I feel, or because, I had to take my son to school and I had to go this, that, and that's why I'm late and I'm doing it, and then it shouldn't be like that, and because I know I can get away with some things, I can do this, and you go over and over and over, and it just seems like you're just abusing what? Power. And so what happens is sooner or later someone takes the power and you're saying that's not fair, but it was fair all the time because you were never supposed to live in excuses. And if you didn't get anything, write this down. You were never supposed to live in excuses. You were supposed to rise above excuses so that if you hit anything, you hit what? Mercy. Because you're still working on getting it together so that you never run into power, because power isn't necessary in excuses. Power is necessary in everything else but what? Excuses. I don't need, even a person that has all the power doesn't really need all the excuses. That's why you find someone that if you own your own business, they don't really run off of what? Excuses. Because if they run off of excuses, then everybody underneath them runs off of excuses. So if you ever see someone that owns their own business and someone's out and they just come in, you ever see a show that where the owner will come down and they working and they doing fries and they sweeping the floor, or you see somebody mopping, the manager is mopping, and he do the lowliest thing. Why? Because he's no better than the worker. He said, I don't need what? Excuses. And so you have to get that in your mind, that you don't really work off of excuses, because that power can tend to be unmanaged, unchecked, and it puts you in a bad place, and you will live off of what? Excuses. And so as much as this really like a 3-week process of explaining this, but if you think about your life and ask yourself, how many times do I give excuses to my children, or how many times do I cover other people? And you ask, here's another part, just let me go with this. We can sometimes see what you concern yourself about and what you over concern yourself about by what you give excuses to. Forget yourself, but actually what you give excuses to. And then they become unchecked and unmanaged. And when you give excuses to those things are free to have what? Power to run rampant, because they don't have anything but excuses operating. That's why you can't give children too many what? Excuses, because they will never learn how to be disciplined. They will never learn how to work. They will never learn how, when you take the excuse from them, they have to work. When you take the excuses from them, they have to learn. When you take the excuses from them, then they have to be about a certain thing. And that's how they grow. When you alleviate or take away excuses, then it leaves the raw picture of who they are. And the raw picture of who you are is the person that will allow yourself to see you and then grow, or then to decrease. The choice will be then theirs. And those are the keys to life.